Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this follow-up discussion for my top 100 video games of all time. Video game tracks of all time, sorry. I decided to just do this to just kind of, now that it's over with, now that people have enjoyed it, and, just sort of talk about the experience of doing it and some of my picks on this list. I'm not going to go through every single one, but also why I did it and all that kind of stuff. It's been pretty well received. I've been very happy with it. It's been something I've been working on thinking about for quite a while, but working on for about 4 months. Sort of started on it early January, trying to script it all out and figure out the hardest thing was obviously figuring out the what order they should be in, and then listening to them and like rearranging it. That was tough, but yeah, I'm glad that it's gone down as well as it has. And I just want to go over firstly, why did I do this? Well, why was partly because firstly I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to challenge myself to say hey, I like a lot of video game music. I mean a lot. There is so much stuff, and the stuff that I've been hearing recently as well that's just as incredible. Can I narrow that down to 100 tracks? If any of you guys follow Don Hayes, he did a top 10 last year, and that was kind of cool. It was cool to see that. But me and him, we definitely have different tastes in. We like some of the same stuff, but he's much more into the very emotional side. That's what I get. He very things that really hit you in the feels, and I like some of that stuff, but I also like stuff that just sounds really cool or is really epic sounding, and kind of in your face as well. So with this list, you would have seen that's why there's such a variance of quality in terms of the stuff back from the NES up until modern day for me. But he did his list, and I looked at it and I thought, that's really cool. I've been thinking about doing music stuff for a while. But I was like, you know what, 10, I can't pick my top 10 favorite tracks. 10 isn't big enough. And I was like, well, maybe 50 is a good number. And I was like, 50 doesn't give me enough slots. So then I went to 100, and I was like, 100, let's see if I can put 100 tracks down ordered. Now, to be honest, even thinking about it now, there's probably stuff I would rearrange. But generally speaking, if any of those tracks were mentioned, they are some of my absolute, they are my absolute favorites. There are tracks that didn't quite make the list that could be on that list as well. But that was the first goal for me, was to challenge myself to put together this list, and it was really fun. It was an emotional time because a lot of that stuff really hits me in the nostalgia feels. That stuff from growing up and playing a lot of multiplayer games with my brother, or even stuff that I remember playing, as a kid, to stuff that I'm hearing now and enjoying now. And I'm lucky enough to be able to still listen to these soundtracks and remember it, because I've always had this thing where I remember a lot of music from games I played. A good example that wasn't on this list is the Super Mario Kart battle music. I've played that game to death. That music is ingrained in my head, but it wasn't quite up there to be on this list. It could have been, if I was doing top 200 easily, or 100, even just 110, easily could have been on there. But a lot of the games that I play, I always remember the music for, so actually picking 100 tracks was really difficult. And there are games on there, Borderlands 3 has other tracks that I could have pulled from. There's just so much stuff on there, more Mario stuff, more Sonic stuff, even smaller games, a lot of stuff that I grew up with playing with people may not have heard of. So that was the first goal. The second thing was to be able to show off music, certain tracks to people that may not have heard them. Everybody, there's no point me putting, if I had enjoyed the Tetris theme, or if I enjoyed the original Super Mario Bros. Theme that much, which I do, that's great and all, but that's not necessarily part of it. I wanted there to be tracks on here that people hadn't heard, or I wanted people to find something, just one song for the entire series that they may go, I've not heard that before, but I really like it, and then they can enjoy it. And that was something that I wanted to happen. I wanted people to go, oh, I've not heard that before, that's really cool, and they found this new track by a game they've probably never heard of. And you especially get that with things like the original Festus Quest, Future Tactics. Those are just a couple of games. Aqua Kitty, that's just 3 games on this list that get represented in some form, and those aren't exactly AAA in your face kind of games. Aqua Kitty is a small little indie game that I really like. It has a fantastic chiptune soundtrack. Festus Quest is not a very good game, but it has a fantastic overworld theme. And then Future Tactics is I actually like it. It's got its issues, but the soundtrack's incredible. And if I can, that was the thing for me. It's I want people to hear video game music. That's why there's such a variance of stuff on this list, so that people can hear stuff, to hear how hard it is to make good chiptune music, how hard it is to make these like big epic tracks. And you've got the tracks there that are really all about more like emotional, more in the feels, and then you've got stuff like Kitty Rock from Aqua Kitty, which just sounds flipping awesome. And there's so much stuff there. But yeah, I just want to go through this list. That's just to describe, sort of why I did it. But I want to go through the list and just highlight some stuff. So I'm going to start with like Fester's Quest at number 100. I do think that track is like a very, very, very good song. And to be honest, it could be higher up on this list. I think that track is incredible. It's so well put together. But it's, the problem with chiptune, and the first 3 tracks being Fester's Quest, a Chippendale song, and also from Metroid 2, is you've pretty much got all chiptune there. And technically a lot of chiptune stuff is going to be lower down my list because it's shorter tracks and whatnot. You get to a certain point with video games where the music becomes a lot longer, a lot bigger, and it starts to get a bit better. Whereas, back then they had to make it short and sweet and catchy. It's meant to get drilled into your head. And Fester's Quest was a game that, I'm absolutely crap at, and everyone rakes on it, but my god, the music, even the underground music and other music in it is really good. But the overworld theme, if someone redid that now, proper slap bass and stuff, oh my god, so good. So that was a huge one for me, putting that on there. I knew that was definitely something I was going to go with, because you got to understand, I listened to every single one of these tracks multiple times, and stuff that I listened to that didn't make this list. But yeah, overworld theme was for Fester's Quest, absolutely massive. And then moving on, we had a lot of Smash on this list, a lot of stuff from Smash Brothers, which I knew that was going to happen. I love Smash Brothers. I've heard that music so much. I've played so much Smash that, a lot of those tracks, those versions of those tracks are burned into my brain. So that was huge stuff for me. But to see some of the Fire Emblem stuff, like Conquest of Blaze was on this list, and some of the one of the tracks from Fates, I forgot what it's called, Field Battle, Road Taken, from Fates and stuff. That was really interesting to see those get on this list. I didn't think much about it until I re-listened to the Fire Emblem stuff. But Fire Emblem's got some absolute stonking tracks, really good. Jurassic Park from the Game Boy. That is another one, highlight. That is such a good bit of chiptune. It's so well put together. I love that track, and the fact that it also does Comic Bakery as well is really, really awesome. So good. I mean, a lot of these tracks that I'm highlighting will probably be from the Game Boy, because a lot of people probably don't, Pokemon trading card game, I put Normal Battle in there. That track is just mind-blowingly good. There is so much good Game Boy music that people just haven't heard, and a lot of those are the ones I like to highlight. But also putting Shrine music from Breath of the Wild on this list, I mean, that's a given. That track is incredible. I love that track. Persona 5 got on here with to start with the days when my mother was there. Persona 5 soundtrack is easily it's this golden thing. Massive soundtrack. Really good. And then more recent games like Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. There's about 4 tracks on this list from that game, and quite frankly, last year when I played it, I was blown away. It was easily the best soundtrack of 2019. I can't think of a game that I played that was better than that. It's so good. And then picking a couple of games that people wouldn't know, which was Future Tactics, and also a game called Insane, which was an off-roading game. And it was really nice to just be able to grab those games and be hey, nobody's really played these games, people that have played these games, but not many people are gonna, they're not selling millions of copies. And that was what was good for me, because Insane has got, I couldn't tell you the rest of the soundtrack, but that menu theme, oh my god, every time you boot up the game, that was so good. And the game's great. I don't know if it's aged particularly well, but I really liked it, and then having something with some Future Tactics on there was also. And then I brought it back to something that a lot of people would have heard of, and that was the Tristram theme for Diablo. That's what this list was so cool, was there was stuff on there that people would know, that were very, very famous. But then you also had stuff from here that was less famous, and that was a nice combination. I'm glad that, for me, I feel my experience in gaming... I feel my experience in gaming and having played a lot of consoles and having played a lot of games growing up, like Chuck Rock, for example. I know that game was quite big back in the day. It was ported to everything, but nobody knows plays it now, do they? Son of Chuck, the second game as well. I've played games like Joe and Mac on the SNES, or I'm trying to think what other crazy games I've got, like Boogerman for the Mega Drive. There are certain games which, will probably have, from memory serves, fairly good soundtracks. They just didn't make this list. Another game that could have been on this list was Blaster Master. That's got some good tracks on it as well, like really, really good stuff. But that's why I was loving the fact that there was a good balance of, you know, some of the famous tracks, even if that was from in Smash, but people would know it. And moving on, then we got some Sonic Adventure 2 music, which is really cool. But I went with a track that a lot of people probably don't know that well, and that was another thing, is picking games that people know the game, but they might not know those tracks as well. Like Sonic Adventure 2, most people know Live and Learn, which is the menu theme, or Escape from the City, which is Sonic's level. And there's like Metal Harbor as well, and the forest levels, and yeah, there's all kinds of good stuff. There's a really good one with Robotnik, but I can't think what it's called, which might have been Metal Harbor, or it was like the same similar level. And then we had like Go Down from Unreal Tournament. Like, that is a game that I absolutely loved growing up. Like, I still play the original one now. I think it still looks alright. You know, it is starting to show its age, but the gameplay is still really solid. It's a really good FPS. Like, and Deck 16 was a level I just loved, and I just happened to be the music on that level, so it stuck with me this entire time. Megalovania, another track that, you know, is a modern classic. Megalovania is an amazing song, and quite frankly, you know, Toby Fox has done a fantastic job putting this theme and getting it in Smash. You know, that's got to be an achievement for him, but it is an absolutely incredible piece to have there. Like, what else have we got on here that's like something a bit different? We've got Hell March. We've got a few different RTS songs on here. You know, Hell March is a classic. You know, into Command and Conquer and StarCraft are the premier kind of RTS games. I mean, you can include Age of Empires in there, but I didn't really play it that much. But I played a lot of Command and Conquer, and I played a lot of StarCraft, and you know, the music in those games is phenomenal. Like, it's incredibly good, and you'll see further up when we get to it. With Emperor Battle for June as well being another game where I was like, wow, this soundtrack is incredible. And this is a lot of games that people might not think of when they think of soundtracks, especially RTS games. You wouldn't necessarily go down that route thinking, oh, they got like the creme de la creme of music, but you know, you got Frank Klepacki, who is an awesome guitarist, but just in terms of a composer, he's just fantastic. The music he makes for these RTS games is just mind-blowing. Another thing I wanted to highlight, Shantae, Half Genie Hero, Counterfeit Mermaid. Oh my god, what a tune! Like, when I played that game, like Jake Kaufman, he did the soundtrack for Shovel Knight, which is phenomenal. He did the Shantae games. He's done, he did DuckTales Remastered. He's done some other stuff as well. Like, he is awesome dude. Like, the music he makes. But Counterfeit Mermaid, oh my god, you know when you hear a track and it just hits you straight away, and you're like, Jesus Christ, wow! Like, that track is so good. Something I do want to point out here is Come On / Let's Go for Superstar Saga and Paper Jam. That is a weird track, because I played Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga growing up, and obviously you remember the battle music, and it was cool hearing it getting used in Paper Jam before they changed it to when you get Paper Mario and they changed the battle music, which to be honest wasn't as good. But it's such a weird song, like that really hits me in the feels, that track. Every time I hear it, it's like, ooh, nostalgia. And it's not even that like super epic. It's just, there's something about that track that, I don't know, just very nostalgic for me. Like, I love that track. Going on here, Stormy Saxophone 2 was something I hadn't heard until last year, and that was from King of the Fighters. That was fucking awesome. Like, oh my god, what an absolute tune that was. Like, when the first time I heard that, I was like, what is this? I think it was because of when Terry got shown off for Smash Brothers, and they had a clip of, I think is it Igor? I'm gonna get his name wrong. Iori. It was his theme tune, and I heard it. I was like, wow, that's cool. And then I started like listening to the music and things. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. So awesome. 50 to 41, a lot of Borderlands music. Borderlands is a series I love. Borderlands 1 only gets one track because, quite frankly, most of the music in Borderlands 1 is good, but only Firestone is memorable to me. 2 and 3, I know more of the music. City Streets, Mango Tango, Double Dragon Neon, hated the game. Fucking soundtrack is amazing. The final boss music, the credits music is incredible. Mango Tango, City Streets is awesome as well. Something else I would really like to highlight on this list was the Ted McPain theme. people probably haven't played Awesome Noughts. Not many people would have, but oh my god, what a great idea it is! Like, you know, Saturday morning cartoon style looking game. All the music in this game, for the most part, is really, really good. But Ted McPain theme is fucking fantastic, so good. In fact, 50 to 41 is like we had like Supernova Dream School from Borderlands 3, which is incredible. Planet Wisp Act 1 from Sonic Colors, incredible. Ice Battle from Borderlands 2, and then a bunch of menu themes from Smash and stuff like that. That 50 to 41 might be some of the best stuff. Like, overall, it's so good. I mean, I liked all of it, but you know, and going forward, like things like Light Plane from Smash, that's hugely important to me. Growing up playing Pilot Wings and stuff, that was always the track that I heard. I mean, technically, it doesn't just play on the plane levels. I think it plays on one of the others as well. But like, that's a game series, well, especially the original, which I just love it. Like, I'm absolutely terrible at Light Plane. Or Pilot Wings, sorry, but when they showed that level off in Smash, I was like, what the fuck? And to get a track based on it was awesome. Like, I love hearing Light Plane, it's such a good track. And you can hear that with things like, you know, a lot of this stuff here, like Route 209, Route 3, Wily's Castle, like, just so much stuff here that's just like, I love. The ARMS theme, absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. More people need to hear the ARMS theme. There are certain games that just, they know how to do menu themes, or they know how to do like intro themes, and oh my god, ARMS, like, it's so good. And then we get onto a lot more Castlevania stuff as it go forward. We've got Praying Hands from Belmont's Revenge. Again, Game Boy music done very right. Then we've got Vampire Killer, which is a classic. New Messiah. Something that I absolutely had to put on this list was It's All Mine by from Wario Land, Shake Dimension, or Shake It. That game deserves so much more respect and credit than I think it got. Like, it got good reviews. It was a good game. You know, I mean, to me, it's a great game. You know, the gameplay was fantastic. The animation is incredible. But even on top of that, like, what this game needed, was a fantastic soundtrack. And it got an incredible soundtrack. Like, it is fucking phenomenal how good it is. And that's the game. You know what? I might actually do, like, some playthroughs on that game, because that game's fucking awesome. And I think more people need to, like, see it and play it. It's so good. And then we got a spat of Donkey Kong music. I mean, David Wise, man, like, he's my favourite dude. I love all the music he makes. It's so good. And then we had a couple of weird ones. We had Cannon Fodder. You know, Cannon Fodder is an old game, but it's got such a good theme tune. I love Cannon Fodder. A bit of controversy and stuff. Very, very, very fun. We had Chuck Rock theme, which there are so many good versions of the Chuck Rock theme. I will happily say right now it's got the best intro theme ever. Followed up by ARMS, probably, you know, in terms of just like, oh, it's incredible. And then we got Island from Army Men Sarge's Heroes, which is a track that I don't think anyone would have heard. And that's a good example of a song where I'm like, people need to hear that even if this game isn't very good, there can still be great music in these games. And that's something you need to hammer home. There are going to be terrible, terrible video games that will have shit soundtracks as well. Not to say that they won't. But there are a lot of games out there that might not be, you know, sort of 5, 6, 7 out of 10. People aren't going to bother with it. But the soundtracks are incredible, and it's like, hugely important. Going into the top from 20 to 11, there's some, you know, we've got Chemical Plant Zone, Aquatic Ambience, you know, stuff that people know, Bramble Blast. The couple of tracks I would like to highlight on this bit, obviously Kitty Rock from Acro Kitty. Great game, incredible soundtrack. That is the best track in the entire game, but there are also some really others that are just bangers. Chill Rock Rage Wars Game Boy Color is a Game Boy game that, in my opinion, nothing comes close to in terms of quality. I've never heard a Game Boy game sound the way that this game does. Quite frankly, I've been listening to the other Chill-Rock games on Game Boy, and they are all, well, a couple of the others are mind-blowing as well. The soundtracks are fucking phenomenal. And yeah, like, that was hard because Chill-Rock Rage Wars, like, most of the music's really good, and I was like, well, I don't want to fill it up with just Game Boy stuff. So it would have been a pick between that and the very first level, because the very first level also has really good music. Like, really good music. It was so close, but this one just kind of has, I don't know, there's just a certain feel about it that I love. Very, very, very good. Tribute to Evil from Emperor Battle for June. That entire soundtrack for all 3 of the teams in that game is incredible. It's just, soundtrack deserves to be more well known. It's so good. And then lastly, before we went to the top 10, I did Steam Gardens from Mario Odyssey, which, quite frankly, is... I just can't, words cannot alone describe like how incredible that was to hear. I mean, I don't think it suits the level at all. I don't think it suits the level whatsoever, but going and playing that game when that track comes on, I spend most of my time messing around in Steam Gardens just because I can listen to the music. That's how much I love this track. And then we get to the top 10, and you know, it's pretty obvious to me, like I can go through each and every single one of these tracks and tell you why they're my top 10. Heaven's Devil from StarCraft 2 is simply, I have played so much StarCraft 2, and I primarily play the Terran, that I've heard all of the multiplayer music over and over and over and over at this point, where like I love it. You know, if I'm playing it with, if I'm playing StarCraft 2 with Fruity, you know, I've got my headphones on, he might have his speakers on, and I can hear, and he's playing Terran or whatever he's doing. I get to hear the music so much. So it's definitely going to be on this list, and you know, number 10 was a fitting spot for that, to be able to just be like, you know what, this even though technically Heaven's Devils is made up of all the multiplayer music, and those tracks do go on a little bit longer, they kind of cut them a slightly bit short, just to kind of put that melody together, medley, sorry. But that was awesome. And then 9 and 8 from Pineapple Smash Crew. Well, Pineapple Smash Crew is so important to me. Pineapple Smash Crew was the first game I ever... it was the second video that when I discovered Total Biscuit on the internet. The first video he did was Bastion that I'd seen. The second video was Pineapple Smash Crew. And he was talking about it, and I was like, oh wow, it's like cannon fodder-esque. And then he like shut up for a bit and just basically let the music play, and I was like, wow, this sounds incredible. And I went and bought it like the next day. I literally bought the game based on his video, and then I did a video on my very old channel of me talking about the soundtrack basically, and you know, Cyphus, the guy who did it, actually got back and said thanks for the kind words and stuff, and that was incredible to me at the time. So this game holds a very dear place in my heart. Like, it is my favourite indie game of all time. You know, people will disagree, they might say, it's really basic or whatever, but I don't care, like, it's fun, I like it. So that's why there's 2 slots for that in the top 10. Like, that game has an incredible chiptune soundtrack. Like, Cyphus just, oh my god, how good is that? Then we get to number 7, which was Terran Theme 3 from StarCraft. The same with Terran Theme 1, which we'll get to in a minute. Like, StarCraft 1 soundtrack is also ingrained in my brain. In my opinion, Blizzard's best work on any game they've made, really. It's just phenomenal. 6 is Fendrana Drift from Metroid Prime. Now, I might say that like the multiplayer music that gets used in Smash is probably like something I hum more. But I think when you listen to Fendrana Drift, you realise just how beautiful, you know, a piece of music can be. And I honestly think that it is by far the best piece of original Metroid music, because obviously a lot of the themes get reused over and over, but I didn't play Metroid Prime, but I did watch my brother play it, and I remember the moment you come up into Fendrana Drift, it's like panning around, it's like the snowy place after you've been in this lava place. It's very calm, and then that music kicks in, and it is just like, wow, this is like incredible. So, fantastic. New Junk City from Earthworm Jim is by far the best first level music ever in a game. Wow, I say ever. It's definitely up there. It is in the top 5 best first level music in the game. You could probably say Green Hill, New Junk City, Overworld theme from Super Mario Brothers, Jungle, DK Island Swing from Donkey Kong Country. You know, like to me, it is one of, and it hits so hard. It is, it's so good. I love it. And Earthworm Jim's a really good game anyway. So I always knew New Junk City was going to be on this list. I just didn't expect it to be as high as it was. But yeah. Andy's Anthem. I mean, Advance Wars is one of my favourite series ever made, and especially the first 3 games, because it has that very like happy style to it. Like the problem with the last game, when they changed it up and made it very dark, and you know, the Earth had died and most people had died, and it's not to say that it didn't have good music and it wasn't a good game, because it was. But there's something like the thing about Andy, and like his music reflects this, is how like upbeat and chirpy he is. And even though the story gets dark in the second game, and even in Jewel Strike and stuff, you always have that kind of pep to him. And there is a lot of tracks I could have picked from Advance Wars, but Andy's Anthem is, in my eyes, like, just absolutely incredible. And it's like, I just want it to be in Smash Brothers. If they won't give us a level, I'm like, just give us the music, for fuck's sake. Give it, like, do an incredible remix of it. Like, I think this track deserves to be, like, everyone needs to hear it. It's so good. And it needs one of those things where it needs an update to it. Like, I really like the Game Boy Advance version and the DS version, but people aren't going to sit and listen to it. You know, you need to, like, do a version of it that's more modernized, I think. Like, with an actual band. I think that'd be quality. Number 3 is Terran Theme 1, which is my favourite Terran theme in both StarCraft games. Like, it is awesome. It's an amazing, amazing track. And there we got number 2 and number 1. Now, number 2 could have easily been number 1 for me. Gangplank Galleon, you know, is my favourite boss theme. You could put up, like, Ridley's, like, the boss theme from Metroid up there as well, which is also really, really good. But Gangplank Galleon is such a memorable track. It's, like, piratey themed. I had the Brawl version as my alarm for about 2 years. And the thing was, when they announced K. Rool for Smash, and then the next day they showed off, you know, the music, I mean, that hit me really hard. Like, that actually made me cry. Like, I was, like, I was, you know, first thing in the morning, probably still half asleep, but, like, it's insanely powerful how much I love that track. And, like, you know, just, like, in terms of just everything about it, the fact that it was, you know, this classic theme, and on top of that you've got, you know, this like mariachi style almost with it, and there's like a weird little rap in it, and it's just, yeah, very powerful boss theme, and like, it's just awesome. And like, whenever we play Smash, that's the track that goes on. We play on a Donkey Kong stage and Gangplank Galleon comes on. You know, I like the old versions as well, but yeah, man, like, that track is incredible. And then that brings me to number 1, which was Jungle, I call it Jungle Hijinks, but DK Island Swing, I believe, is his actual name. I mean, the thing is, like, a lot of these tracks on this list could have been number 1, but I remember the very first time playing Donkey Kong Country and being blown away visually and dying to the first enemy straight away and not really knowing what I was doing. But I'll never forget when those drums kick in and that whole track's playing. It's just like, wow. And it's an entire experience, that track. Like, I think I've said it to people before, it's my favourite track, and it always will be, because I'm never going to be able to kind of like relive that moment from my life. Like, that is one of the most, you know, after playing Mario Brothers and stuff like that was a huge impact on me. You know, the first time I played Super Mario Bros. 3, like, that game is my favourite. Super Mario Bros. 3 is my favourite platform game. But Jungle Hijinks is a level in the game for Donkey Kong. It's so much more memorable to me because of the age I was. I was slightly older, and when I played it, and, you know, to have that music kick in with this, you know, this SNES graphics that I hadn't really gotten used to or seen, I was like, wow, this is incredible. And to be honest, Donkey Kong still looks pretty incredible now. Yeah, it's hard for me to ever beat that. You know, there are games that have come close, but even Smash Brothers, which is my favourite series ever, you know, is never beaten that experience of, like, playing Donkey Kong for the first time, shooting out of the house, and then all you hear is like dum 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 dum, you know, all these drums kicking in, and I was like, wow, this is incredible. So that's why that is my number 1. You know, and to be honest, I don't think that's ever going to get dethroned. I maybe in the future I will do this again. I might do it slightly differently, but I might do this as something in a year's time, 2 years' time, because this was a lot of work for me, and it was hard. But I'm glad that I did it. But what I am probably going to do from this, because of the feedback that I've had, and obviously leave some comments in this video so I know, but because of the feedback that I've had so far, I would like to do a half an hour long show of either looking at a game soundtrack like I used to, or like a kind of a mix mash and picking tracks from different games, but not necessarily like the big games. Like, yes, the big games will have great soundtracks probably, but looking at stuff that people don't know, or even games that weren't necessarily amazing, and going, hey, there's actually good music here, and trying to get people to, listen to that. I mean, at the moment I've been watching Final Fantasy VII, listening to the music in that, and that is incredible, and some of that stuff could have been on this list, but obviously it's too late now. But yeah, if that's something that people want or are interested in, then I will absolutely do a monthly sort of radio show kind of thing, or like, it will just be me talking about tracks that I've listened to in the past month, you know, it might only be 20 minutes, it might only be like 5 songs or something, but if that's something people want, then I will definitely be looking into that, because I think it's really important to highlight how good video game music is. I need to figure out the way I want to do it, but it's something that I may end up doing. And there you go, guys. This is just a discussion that I wanted to have talking about this. It's gone on probably way longer than I expected, but I hope you've enjoyed listening to it. I hope this has shed some light onto why I like some of these tracks. If you like the video, hit like. If you want to see more stuff, hit subscribe. I'll probably be going back to a regular schedule after this video. Probably got a channel update and some other bits I want to do. And then yeah, if you wanna get involved on Facebook and Twitter, the links are down below for that. Until next video, I'll see you then.